Alright, so I'm continuing the story from last time. I gave this game 4 points from last time. So the game's at a 4 right now. I'm going to see if they have more information with regards to Akkadian history. I'm going to see if they have more information with regards to Akkadian history and with regards to um, any type of moving mythology or any type of ancient mythology, or specifically anything that has to do with a specific type of movies, horror movies, influence within the game. Every game has them, especially if you're doing horror game. But I need to know whether these people did like. I'm pretty sure they did depth research with regards to what they wanted to include with this game, but I wanted to see how much of it. They include um, Sumerian gods in there. Did they include certain specific locations that archaeologists go for digging with regards to Sumerian culture in Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamian areas or dig sites? Did they get a lot of influence from people who know about that stuff? Did they study the diet types? I know they have Pazuzu in there, uh, one of the demonic type of creatures that were created by the ancient deities of that time in order to balance off the well-being of man being too greedy on the planet. They wanted to, you know, cull the type of herd that was man, because man was becoming too noisy, too greedy, and too advancing too far. Um, so they had to find a way to put a stop to that. Plus, there were too much destruction and devastation within their own culture. So, uh, I guess the balance with regards to culling the herd was the inclusion of death within the human species. At least that's what Akkadian culture believed, or should I say Sumerian culture believed, that death was included into man's survival. I mean, they eventually would die, but the threat of death at all times from all different type of forms of death, because naturally, it was believed, Sumerian believed, that they were created from gods and eventually to die. But it was from one singular type of death, which was old age, or from unforeseen circumstances. However, due to the fact that a lot of people didn't do this and did their own thing, and what about the merry way? The inclusion of various different forms of death was included. That's how the whole Pandora's box came about. Some centuries after Sumerian dynasty or the age of Sumerian kings and stuff. So I don't know how deep they're going to dive into the depth of this stuff. Um, but I do hope that this association is with some type of horror lore that makes sense with regards to the story. Because at at the moment, yes, Pazuzu have wings and consider a demon and brought about famine, plague, or have demonic brothers and so on. Because Pazuzu is supposed to be king of demon types, but association with vampires, that's something hard to sell because he was generally considered a winged demon. Um, I guess the whole idea of vampirism coming being a part of the whole equation was when people started to associate it based on the archaeologists in this game that perhaps the ancient Sumerians actually didn't have a word to define what Pazuzu was when they physically saw the creature. They thought it was a demon, or that's what they believed. But from the point of view of when vampires, the lore of vampires came into being, it falls more into that description rather than a demon. So this is what the story that's being told within this game is, that the Akkadians' belief that Pazuzu was a demon is actually the more recent 20th century 19th century belief that vampirism that came um, centuries after it, or more than a millennia or so after, um, was the actually truth of the existence of these things. That they probably weren't demons, but they were vampires. But then they have the fact of the vampires have some association with space. So that goes into something that's more recent lore with regard to 20th century beliefs. Because the idea of creatures from outer space wasn't something that was created in the 19th century. It was more like something of the 20th century times. Or maybe it was of the 19th century, but it was very late 19th century that you can see the definition of space was, or space travel, that word wasn't associated back then in ancient times. It was just considered heaven. But when you consider space, you consider space travel, space exploration, and aliens. So the idea of aliens, or a species of aliens, not gods or deities, was something more of a 20th century belief and lores and that sort of stuff. Pre that was everything in medieval times and ancient times. It was heaven or the realm beyond the sky. No one knew what space was until I probably believe the very, very late um, 19th century and early 20th century. I mean, they believed it existed, but by definition of the word space and vacuum of space surrounding, you would have to consider that to be something of late 19th century, early 20th century. And I'm not talking about philosophies and philosophers describing the earth and there's a void of space that's outside there. I'm talking about the ideas of space, space travel, and aliens that live in space. Not the scientific definitions what out there, but the lore, the belief of aliens in space and stuff. And space travel was something I would say late 19th century, early 20th century, or mostly 20th century. Because I really haven't dug into any lore that associated with the 19th century unless I'm missing something. So, moving forward, I want to see what the game has to offer even more. Is there anything that has to do with Ziggurat? Is there anything that has to do with the war? Um, to bring up certain artifacts from those times. Is the character or the deities, the Anunnaki, has anything to do? Because I truly believe the Anunnaki are these beasts, these vampires, or these creatures that they're talking about. It has nothing to do with Pazuzu. It's just Pazuzu is what's being used as a representation of what the Akkadians believe them to be. And based on Akkadian folklore, from what I learned from a long time ago, they seem to fall more into the Anunnaki, this definition, whereas the ancient Akkadians prayed to gods such as Ki and Inanna and Enki and so on and so forth. But the Anunnaki was kind of like how we would describe superheroes. You don't pray to superheroes, but you would pray to God, Virgin Mary, and so on and so forth. The Anunnaki was kind of like creative definitions of what God and angels and demons would be. But you wouldn't pray to them. There would be something that's untouchable or unreachable. They existed and they came from God or from angels, more from it's like reading about Michael or Gabriel, and then learn of their offsprings from Michael and Gabriel, which are uh, Nephilims, and Nephilims would be part human, part angel, or so on and so forth. So you wouldn't pray to a Nephilim, even though a Nephilim is kind of semi-godlike. So I believe that's what the Anunnaki were. They were kind of like godlike beings that were produced from the heavens, but people don't, I guess, didn't pray to them because they were in physical form, rather than they were just energy based. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm just skeptical, and being skeptic about it. But I believe the creatures that are represented here are more like Anunnaki than Pazuzu, more than anything else, and even more than that, I believe these creatures, based on the supermassive games, were somewhat associated with that movie Life Force. I mean, there's so many things within the game I've seen so far to associate with that film, with the exception to there's no naked people and there's no sucking life force by kissing from the body, and then people turn into like walking zombies trying to get energy back from each individual. So those two things don't exist. The whole naked people, monsters turning into naked people, which is the transformation, and the second sucking of energy. But if you really think about it, if you twist it in a certain way, all vampirism, no matter how you look at it, what lore, it's always about taking energy. The sucking of blood from the neck and ancient vampires is taking not just the blood but the energy of the person. No blood in the body, the person has no energy and eventually die from the lack of blood. The lore twisted in a different way. Same as for that film, with the exception of them being naked people and a giant floating ship in the sky that absorbs the energy. So those three things, I'll be specifically, aren't in this game. There's no giant floating spaceship that sucks energy. There's no naked people going about luring men to their doom, and there's no absorbing energy from mouths of people and then turning them into zombies, and they vice versa try to suck energy from others to reclaim their humanity. So those three things don't exist. But if you cut those three things out of the game, out of that film, and you look at it, you remove those three things from the film. Everything else in that film is within this game. One, giant bat. Two, strange energy. Three, comet or flying saucer that crashes or moves towards Earth. Four, some type of uh, when the creatures die, you don't stab directly at heart. You stab their energy centers. Four, um, they're afraid of light. They don't come out in the light. They don't stand the light like in the film. Light doesn't hurt them, regular light. But the film Life Force wasn't played out during the morning time, so you have to assume the fact that these creatures don't live in the light either. Um, that's five. And six, um, there's tons of blood associated with their existence, so it's not just removing of energy, it's blood as well. Number seven, they have telekinesis, the ability to persuade you to do certain things at their will and draw you in near using convincing, whether they use from all person to person, and um, implantation. Um, there's no worms planted in people in the movie Life Force, but is their their physical energy is planted within people to convince them. So there's there's that association. They're not parasites, but the parasites within that film is their physical energy that are left. They leave as residues within individuals to convince them to do certain things at their will. So even though there are many differences in that film, you can find a lot in that film associated with this game. So I'm gonna continue forward, and I'll see how much more of that film is within this game, how much more of Acadian lore is within this game, and how much more the story gets deeper. Sorry for rambling on, but today and tomorrow and Sunday, I won't be able to do this, so I'll probably do this again on Monday. But I wanted to make sure I knew exactly how far I'm going with in this game. So right now it's a 4, and a 4.1 will probably be if they're diving more into those things.
Again? Jesus, Eric, how many times? This is me. This is my way of dealing with it, and I'm done trying to explain it to you. Yes, this is my life now, and I'll live it on my terms. Wait, what did you just say?
Bad time?
Yeah, it's a real fucking bad time.
I'm just dropping off the files you requested.
Not now. I said not now.
Well, I didn't mean to upset you.
It's not you.
Seems like out here we're all running away from something. I know I am.
You were caught up in that mess at the checkpoint. You shot that woman. No, it's okay. You can talk to me.
It's just everyone seems to have an opinion on it. I'm dealing with it in my own way.
Are you?
You got your own problems. And whoever that was, that sounded like a gold medal asshole. Whatever it is, you'll deal with it. Or say the word, and I'll handle it for you.
Jason, you're here.
Keep it together. Nick, I thought I lost you.
I thought I'd lost you.
Coming through, run! Go, go, go! clear.
That was too close back there.
We're still breathing.
We've not all been so lucky.
All that matters is you're okay. Do we need to talk?
About what?
About us. I need to know what's happening with us. If I die tonight, I want to die knowing where I stand with you.
Seeing Eric again, he reminded me of the man that I fell for all those years ago. You came along just when I needed you the most. I'll forever be thankful for that.
Something's changed?
I don't need anyone's help to climb out of my own hell. It's over, Nick. Let's go find Kolchak.
If that's what you want.
It's funny. Before today, I had planned on leaving Eric for good. But he held tight to that rope. All the way. That's gotta mean something. I had so much I wanted to say to him. But I ran out of road.
It's Jason. He's alive.
We should go.
I've seen some fucked up shit in my life. Nothing comes close to this. They don't seem to be following.
Do you like to wait for them, or...?
Don't need to be a smart ass. Just move.
This was all Lady Bradshaw's doing. She knew all along what was down here. She led us to them. I found her below, hunched over the murdered corpse of Van Hoyten. As she turned to face me, I saw that she had changed. My hand fell to the closest weapon I could find, an iron tent peg. I stabbed her with the metal, impaling her in the heart. She died. Unholy screams echoed from deep below, as if answering the sudden release of blood.
Yeah, what you said. What the fuck is this place?
What is this hell? Is this even real? We are being judged. God is punishing us all for the mistakes we've ever made.
Zane is all I have left in this world. After my wife left us, I gave him my all. I wanted him to have everything I didn't.
Single parent. Tough fucking gig.
It is. But my boy has made me very proud. He's going to London, to university. If only he would stop stealing.
This morning, I found the goods Zane had stolen. I left a message with my neighbor to tell Zane how angry I was with him. I said the last thing he will hear from his father. I miss him so much.
Is your conscience clear, Jason?
Green zone. Checkpoint.
What checkpoint?
Nick and I, we were caught in traffic. Checkpoint had been hit before by suicide bombers. There was a woman. She was carrying a bag. Fuck.
Tell me.
I ordered for her to stop, loud and clear, but she didn't. She just kept on walking. I had to make a call. Nick, he shot her dead.
What was in the bag?
Groceries.
I don't understand. Why didn't she stop?
She didn't hear me. She had fucking headphones on. Huh. This bullshit. I'm not here to honor the dead. The truth is, my life was going nowhere fast. I jumped at the chance to sign up.
We all have our reasons. They don't have to be profound.
Profound, huh? When those towers were hit, I was stoned out of my fucking skull. I didn't even hear.
What is this?
Stay close. This gotta be where those things come from.
I think so. Question is, where the hell are they? Stay close.
I ain't going nowhere. down do you think we are?
Difficult to say. It's easy to lose track of time down here. This moths is everywhere.
Is it just me, or is it alive?
We mustn't lose sight of each other down here.
Devil's heat. Sleep. Over here. What do you make of it?
This place could have been down here for thousands of years.
God didn't make these creatures.
No. It's possible we've got this wrong way around.
What's that supposed to mean?
Maybe we're intruding on them.
Lame. Check this out.
Sounds like music.
That don't sound like any music from where I'm from.
Okay, maybe not music. Could be, a language.
Now, you've seen those motherfuckers. They're not exactly the chatty type.
We... Underestimate them. Look at this place. Those things are intelligent.
Check out that armor. This guy's goddamn biblical.
Shit! Did you see that? I think he's still alive.
Oh, that's impossible.
In this place, everything's possible.
Holy shit. Motherfucker's been alive all this time, just sitting here with half a head.
Fluid. It must have preserved his flesh, his brain. What should we do? We can't leave him like this.
Well, shit. You had enough time to get used to it?
I'm serious.
Oh.
The noise will attract the vampires. I'll do it. ارتاح دلوقتي في موتك.
Sleep.
What is it?
I think we hit the mother lode. I'm thinking.
You thinking the goons?
Yeah.
And I am thinking what you're thinking.
Cover you! Go!
Dickie, turned up like a fucking cat. I thought you were dead.
Not my time.
Good to see you again, man. Take my... I'm glad you're here, man.
This place. What is this place? We need a plan.
Fuck those things up and get the fuck out.
Good plan.
Sergeant K, what do we got left?
So we got 8 clips of 556 FMJ, 3 40 mil high X rounds, a couple of 9 mil pistols, 4 clips between them. We'll make that work. Huh. Plus 2 phosphor rounds. And 1 block of composition C4. All in, it's not enough.
We also got this.
It's old, unpredictable.
We work with what we got.
Our fuses are shot, but we can use the C4 to detonate them. Let's just hope they still pack a punch.
The vampires come from those cocoons. You saw how many there were in that vault? There could be thousands in there.
Should we blow them up? Burn as many of those motherfuckers as we can and head for the surface. What do you think, Sergeant?
Hoorah.
I'm not gonna allow him to carry a pistol.
We are way past that point now, ma'am. We stand together as one. Looks like our explorer friends are here, too. We should search this place before we move out.
found something.
How confident are you that they'll work?
They'll work.
And how are you holding up?
Well, not great, truth be told. I should have said it sooner, but I'm sorry about Eric's death.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Rachel, I just want to... I want to say that I've come too far to lose you now. We're going to get out of here. I know it.
I like your confidence, Marine. What was in it for him? Is it really all about these tablets?
What I wouldn't give to see daylight again.
Daylight and a cold one.
Rachel,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss. Eric was a good man.
He was.
The bones of this temple are drenched in blood. We have set foot on an uncharted shore and roused something ancient and wicked. A blasphemy that comes in indescribable shapes and forms. For eons we lived as children in this world, unaware of the horrors that slumber beneath our feet. Now we have blindly thrown open the gates to madness. I fear being taken, but I must do what I must. We must seal this place for eternity, for all mankind. Mary, I'm sorry.
None of them made it out alive. That's one way of describing it. There's meaning here.
It's a language formed from chords, musical scales, sonics. Mary was a pianist. She deciphered it. She thought these carvings represented the stars. Do you see? It's Cetus, the whale.
We're a long way from the night sky.
It's a mystery. According to the journal, there was only one scale of sound in the device. But Mary was studying it alone. I think there may be another. I'm going to need your help.
What can I do?
This console is too big to operate single-handedly. Something. And Mary believed that these creatures were once peaceful. Their language was one of music. How could they not feel emotion? Then a tragedy fell upon them. Their great empire collapsed. Their music fell silent, and they turned on each other. What happened? A sickness? A madness? What turned them from architects into killers? Whatever it is, it twisted them. Now they're creatures of hate. Animals. Dead things. No one left to kill. So they slept. And they waited. They waited for us.
Is anyone buying this shit?
I don't know, but Old Mother Mary was right about one thing. There's no more good in this place. Then come on, let's go burn these motherfuckers.
Alright, so this is a good stopping point for me. One, I just accumulated at least 3 points with regards to the game. At least 3 or 4 points with regards to the game. One, the first point goes towards, well, actually, now I think about it, just 3 points. Minus 1 point from the 4 point. The minus from the 4 points I was about to give is for the fact that the story's kind of silly in certain ways. It was getting good, but the logic of the story just keeps knocking me out sometimes. And that logic is these people are within the home turf of the enemies within their ship, or the derelict of the ship itself, or remains of it, for thousands of years. Some of these creatures are still alive within the ship. Why would you be making sounds using equipment or walking around within the facility of the ship if you know there are creatures still alive in the ship, especially making sounds that the creatures used in order to communicate with? Now, I'm not 100% sure if the creatures that use sound to communicate with are the same as the creatures that they turn to. It might be something different, but sound vibrations is something associated with bats as well. So I'm pretty sure that the creatures be able to hear the sound. So that doesn't make much sense with regards to the story. So that took it from me giving it 4 points to just 1 point. Now the 3 positive points with regards to the game so far is that the decision from the characters, Rachel, she broke up with Nick because she saw that Nick, her husband, Eric, didn't let go of that rope. I thought it would go down a totally different way, but she voluntarily, without my decision, of a choice, given choice, decided that because Nick stuck to his guns and died to try to save her, she basically saw that Nick wasn't just a good guy, would potentially die in order to save her. So it took him dying for her to realize that. That's how much of a shitty character her character is. But I like the fact that that was implemented into the story. That's the point I give towards it. The fact that that's there. The multiple different paths of choices that would affect characters. Especially hers. Because I didn't think that was going to go down that way with her. I saw certain people playthroughs and theirs went down a totally different way. But at no point did I voluntarily think she would actually volunteer break up with him without me deciding for her to break up with him. She just did it on her own that time. Because of the decision that led Eric to his death. So, in all truth, his death was something that was in vain. It was part of the process as well. So, the number two thing I found that was positive with regards to the game so far is the aliens themselves. First starting from creatures and then evolving to more than just mythical creatures from the past, ancient Sumeria, Akkadians, and so on and so forth, to associated with what the folklore of vampires were. And now, from that second one, going to the third one, vampires from space, or creatures from space, that eventually became vampires. So, that's something. I like the progression of that. Not the fact that they're just creatures or they're just vampires. The progression and elevation from what it was starting at the beginning of the game to what it is now. I like that. So that's the second point. I didn't give it a point in regards to that before. I gave it a point with regards to the type of creature they were, the type of association with the lore that they were, and the follow up from the story as it proceeded forward. But I'm giving it a point for the association and progression of how the story is playing out towards the creature slowly elevating to something much higher, higher, and higher in the plane than what you expect it to be. So that's another point with regards to that. The third point with regards to the game is the fact that each of the research and information that you find with regards to the archaeologists from the past gets progressively more interesting. You learn more things about the past. You learn what's happening. You learn about Lady Bradshaw. You learn about Mary. You learn about the other people who were part of the archaeological site. Some wanted to preserve the creatures. Some wanted to make sure it buried the hatchet so it never escaped. Now, from a logical point of view, everyone who wanted to make sure their place is buried and never discovered and destroyed, that makes more sense. That makes more sense than anything, because if the creatures get loose, it doesn't matter if they're beneficial towards human science and society in the future. There won't be any future if the human species is wiped out in total. So that's the aspect of the game that I find that is very much like the film Life Force. If you don't stop them, they'll wipe up the entire human population, drain it of all its energy, and go on to another planet. That's another association with regards to that film that I found interesting. But that's it. The fact that Oh yeah, and then the premonition from the next game was included within this game. That's something I'm also interested in, but that has no bearings with regards to this game at all. Because each different games, Man of the Den, Little Hope, they all have premonitions of the next game. So that's not something that I would consider to be that big of a deal. Oh, what I like that I can't give it now that I think about it, I can't give it another point for is the fact that now that I think about it, I could give it another point is the fact that if you miss certain documents and certain information, you won't get the secrets for it, or you won't get the premonition for it. So you would have to. It gives you different results for the game if you decide to ignore certain things in the game. So it's not just about the decision you make with regards to the story and interaction with certain people and finding certain things, but whether you choose to explore or not to explore. So it's not just about finding and then completing a puzzle or talking to people and completing a puzzle or proceed through the story and completing a puzzle. But it gives you the game actually gives you the option to choose to develop the story much broader in one playthrough rather than go through it in multiple different playthroughs. If you decide to be the gamer that explores or the person that just wants to get towards the end. So I like the fact that that's also included in the game. So right now, originally I was at a 4 all around, and I gave it 4 points, but then I deducted from regards to the logic of what the decision people make within the story from making sounds like a single enemy. But then I gave it that extra one back with regards to the progression of the story, with regards to um, the decisions of not just the parliament, but the decisions of the story itself, with regards to progression of the aliens slowly evolving, and with the decisions of the character slowly um, resulting in certain activities for certain premonitions to happen, or and also of ignoring premonitions. So ignoring premonitions are secrets that you cannot find, and thus either progressing the story faster, or you could be the person that does exploration all the time. So um, that's 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. So right now I'm at a 4.4 with regards to the game, and if I really wanted to dig even deeper with regards to the game, I could go to collectibles and give it another point. Or I could go into the main menu and give it another point and do the examination of certain characters, and certain decisions. And I could look at certain things and see, well, I'm making progression with this character positive, but there are certain things I have to watch out for with regards to the decision I'm making. So if a circumstance pop up that has Jason angry after Celine almost dropped the boulder on him, I have to watch out for any future events that will pop up with something that has to do with a boulder or with something that has to do with um, a decision to of the same type or the same situation to either abandon the person or to drop something on a person. So I like the fact that it's there. I could give the game another points for that. So it's not just about making decisions and the type of decisions made to alter the game or not to alter the game, or the fact the progression through decision makings and how this story plays out through the progressions through decision makings, and not just the progression through the story, but how based on decision, but progression of character through decisions, but also the factor of getting indications within the menu of the decisions that you are going to make that you have not made yet to progress the story, and it gives you hints with regards to that. So I could say I could give the game another point for the ability to give hints as you're progressing through the story. Um, Not only from looking at character stats, but looking at premonitions and looking at looking at premonitions. Looking at premonitions and also looking at secrets, as well as bearings.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Okay, so yeah, that's about it. As far as I'll probably go with regards to the game. Nothing, nothing more to say about the game. I would say at the moment the game is a 4.5. 4.5 in my book. Already did the accessibility stuff. Already did background. What I didn't do that I should have done, to be honest with you, was check with regards to certain things within the main menu. I just stated that certain things were included in general aspect and vicinity of the game. The gameplay section, how the gameplay is set up, the challenging, the controls, how the controls are set up, displays, audio functions, and so on and so forth. But I didn't dive deeper into the accessibilities feature, which shows you have subtitles, you have this stuff. But that's not something to give the game a 4.4 because that's part of the whole menu process that I already did before. But that's it. That's so far 4.5. Maybe tomorrow when, because I already passed the halfway point with regards to this game, so it's almost over. I would say I'm at a good 70% of the game. I'm past the 50% marker. Got up to the 60% marker when I got into the whole mothership, and now I'm at the 70% marker. That we'll now see the giant egg. Will not interact with the giant egg type thing. So decision they'll make thereafter, the last half of the game or the last quarter of the game. I believe I'm closing in on the last quarter of the game. I'm not at the last quarter of the game yet, but I'm closing in at the last quarter of the game. I'm saying probably around 70% completion of the game as of right now, but I have probably another 30 or 40 minutes for the game to go, for the story of the game to go. So I have not completed that yet. So far the game, in my opinion, is a 4.5. And those last 5 points with regards to the game will probably be placed within the game before it's concluded. Now, I did say I was going to give the game a lots of points if it has to do the alien lore, has to dive deeper, and I did give it 1 point for the alien lore. So, if I was to give it another point to get to 4.6, it would have to be for the type of communication that the aliens did with regards to things that happen on Earth or things that happen in space. Where did they came from? They said that they came from Cetus or somewhere within that vicinity, and they said they came to Earth thousands of years ago, probably during dinosaurs' age or probably before, and they were conquering the Earth at the time. So that's fascinating to me, but there's no actually evidence proof of it that was happening, just documentation that they're present. So I'm hoping that the game will show me proof of this through a premonition or through a visual representation or something. But now that I think about it, I'm actually going to give the game another point for that because now I know where the creatures, general vicinity the creatures came from. Now I know that they're an alien species, that they're technically not just regular vampires, they're a vampire species. Now I know that they came on a ship. They either landed here voluntarily or crash landed here. I don't know the situation of how they came here. And I also know that they carry parasites that infect individuals. But I knew that from previous playthrough. I didn't know that the parasites took over the individuals and basically made them to their. Well, I kind of knew that, so that I won't give them points for that. Um, but the story of the actual alien species is starting to get more interesting, and they're using the forms of the alien species to represent Pazuzu. That's making more logical sense down the road. The disease factor during the whole drought during the Akkadian times, during that period that there was long periods of drought, famine that last more than a century or something like almost a century. Um, that's fascinating as well. But does the aliens have any association to do with that? Maybe they'll show that later on. But so far, the story progression towards the actual story itself about the aliens associated with the mythology of the Akkadian Empire, that's good. So now I'll give the game another point for that. It's starting to come together. What I want to know is where the aliens come from, why they crash landed. Are they actually vampires? Was there something that made them turn that way, or have they always been that way? And is there a bigger species down the road? So that's what I'm interested in. So far, the game is a 4.6 in my opinion. No, nothing more than 4.6. And like I said before this game is over, I guarantee before this game is over, it's going to be slightly above average. Because the average game is a 5 game. And slightly above average is any game that's 6 or 5.8, 5.7, 5.5. I believe this game is slightly above average. I believe a lot of things, markers that they wanted to hit, they hit, but a lot of markers that they shouldn't have hit, they didn't hit. So, especially with the characters, especially with the location, especially with the logic of certain things playing out, especially with the handling of certain things, especially not including the run factor that they did in Until Dawn, especially um, the type of scare factor is not as deep as the other games or jump scares. So those things were considered before. So I believe this game is a good game, but it's not better than Until Dawn. It's not a horrible game. It's not even close to a horrible game. It's slightly above average. I believe this game is going to be a 5.8 or 6.1. Anywhere from a 5.8 to a 6, to be honest with you. That's where I believe this will fall in with regards to my opinion. It will go from most I could give it is a 5.8 to a 6. Now, with regards to an overall this definition of the ending towards this game, based on everything I'm seeing, an overall estimate based on me taking myself out of the equation and looking at it from the point of view of everyone else, I would give the game a full 1 point that it obviously doesn't deserve, but I'll give it that full point because it's not me being me, it's me being the voyeur from the audience perspective, not from my point of view. So even if I gave this game a 5.8 or a 6, that's my personal prejudice towards the game. But if I was to give this game a full 1, I would add that full 1 on top of it. And that 5.8 would then be 6.8. And or that 6 would then be a 7. So that's from an audience point of view. I believe this game will fall into a 7 category. Most, but nothing more than a 7. If I see that Metacritic has this as more than a 7, then Metacritic don't know shit about anything. So right now I'm at a 4.6. So hopefully I get more interesting stuff with regards to the aliens, with regards to the archaeologists, with regards to relationship with characters, how they interact, and how tense the fighting and everything is. Now, if I really want to give even more points to the game, it has to do with regards to the combat. Is the quick time events good? Yes, they're good. Were they better than the previous games? I would say they're on equal footing with the previous games. Until Dawn, I believe, The QTE was a little better, but the QTE in this game is far better than that of Little Hope, and is far better than that of Man of Medan. So yes, I believe I should give the game another point for that. It's QTE when it comes to its challenging aspects and how to do things is more easier, but at the same time it's more difficult and more um, easy, easy to handle or easy to use. Not easier as in easier to press the button pumps, but easier to deal with and to understand rather than to be confusing towards the person using it, to make it more simple for them to understand. So right now, 4.7. Now I think about it, that is also included within the game. I didn't consider the QTE before, or the heartbeat things monitored before, but I'm considering that now. It's far better than that of Little Hope, or is on par with that of Little Hope with a slightly little better tweak. So I'll give the game a point for it being tweaked just a little better. But that's it. 4.7 is where I am now. But slowly but surely, I'm pretty sure this game is going to be slightly above average, 5.5 to 5.8, or even 6 most. But I don't believe it'll go beyond 6, in my opinion. Might not even go beyond 5.8 by the end. But still, it'll still fall into the good game category because it's beyond 5. So right now I'm stopping, and on Monday I'll complete this game. That should be my opinion with regards to it. I made sure as I'm going through the game, I'm remembering everything as I see it, everything I picked up, everything I interacted with, even the moving up the sand, type of creatures, so forth. I point out every single thing I could find, and everything I knew about from history, and everything I knew about from movies and lore are included in the game. So it's not like I didn't look at devils in the details. I did. And I was very fair. At the same time, I was very critical about certain things. That's the reason why this game is still past its halfway point, and I'm still in the 4.7 range. So that's it with regards to this. Complete the rest of this game on Monday. And I'm going to play Until Dawn. I'm definitely going to play that game again, but this time I'll make sure to log it in on my archive just to show the difference between Until Dawn and this game. So if the people who made this game ever looked at this video or look at videos similar to this from other people who are very critical about it, they could see that they fucked up a lot in this game. That they thought that they were smart with regards to certain decisions, but certain logical things that you should have done, you didn't do. But you did make it better than Low Hope, and you did make it better than Man of Medan. So at least you paid attention to the opinions of others with regards to those games. But here's the thing: if you had gotten the atmosphere done right, or if you had executed the games like you executed Until Dawn, then I guarantee this game would have been far more superior, especially if you had put them in an environment that wasn't a desert area. Because desert monsters aren't as scary as mountain monsters, or forest monsters, or swamp monsters, or monsters within cities, within underground territories, or within night sky areas, or within abandoned or empty farm fields. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. They want to explore different types of monsters. Maybe they should have done it in a different way. If they wanted to do the descent thing, they shouldn't have stick so much to association with the war and everything. It should have been more focus more on the terror of these monsters and make the terror aspects far more terrible, but they didn't. So, who knows? Maybe they want to have an action horror game, but they should just stick to action. But we'll see. So far as the games are 4.7. That's all I got to say about that. So I'm done for today. Finish this on Monday.